Nice to
Always
see you
wonderful.
again.
Nice to see you too. Congratulations on this fabulous movie. And I gotta tell, I gotta start by asking you this because we know how much you love us here in Canada. How important is it for you to always debut these movies at the Toronto International Film Festival? Because that's where I first saw it. And I loved
Yeah.
watching you watch the movie. Gave me joy.
Well, I've had a long history with TIFF and
Yeah.
also filming um in and near Toronto,
Yes.
including this movie, The Dead Don't Hurt. We shot a couple of days in Ontario province for Vivienne's childhood in the story. And we also shot in Western Canada and Vancouver Island. And then the rest, almost all the movie in Mexico. But yeah, I've always liked, even though it's a huge festival, hundreds of movies, it's always felt intimate in a way. And I think it's because of the audiences. It's a true audience festival, more than many others are.
Yeah.
And, you know, as happened with Green Book, for example,
Right.
the screening sold out and they added another one. And I stayed, just like I did with the Green Book. I ended up staying the whole festival in order to be able to meet and talk with the audiences after each screening. And we had great Q&As there. And that was my first chance to see,
Yeah.
you never know how people are going to react. And there were, as always in Toronto, real mix of people, young and old, different backgrounds, all kinds of people. And the first encouraging sign was that at each screening, the house was pretty packed at the end of it, no matter how late the movie ended. That was already encouraging. And then they had so many interesting questions and observations, and more questions than we could answer, unfortunately, in the 30 minutes or sometimes 40 that we got.
Of course.
But it was great. My first experience with the movie with audiences was fantastic at Toronto. It's a festival I've always enjoyed
Yeah,
because
well,
the audience is
we always
thoughtful
enjoy
and
having you
compassionate.
here. Of course, of course. You're all, listen, you're just going to have to bring us one a year. That's all. That's your commitment. So sorry, I got to tell you that.
Right.
But this one is just absolutely, like I said, stunning. And I watched it again this week because oh man, I loved it more. So second time in the director's chair, does it get any easier?
Um, it's always hard to make a movie. Small
Yeah.
movies, big movies, no matter how well you prepare. And I've been lucky, I've learned from not just David Cronenberg, but many good
Yeah.
actors, men and women from different places who know how to prepare, shoot really well, know how to communicate with crew and cast. And so I've learned a lot from them. But it's always difficult, no matter how well prepared you are. Making movies is about overcoming obstacles every day, unexpected problems, little ones, big ones every day. That's what it's about. And as a team, hopefully you can negotiate those obstacles. I guess the second time around, I think I trusted my instincts
Hmm.
more consistently. Not that I didn't unfolding, but just in terms of, if there was some difference of opinion, after taking in everybody's point of view, when I felt really strongly that I wanted a certain kind of shot, or maybe not too many shots in a scene, I just trusted that. And I thought, no, it's going to be all right. You sure you don't want more coverage in case in the editing? And I'm like, no, this is the way it should be, and it's going to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was just a little more confident about that. Still listening to people, still taking in their suggestions and adjusting accordingly. But I think I felt a little more confident in my own gut feeling about things.
Yeah. I Westerns. Are you a big fan of Westerns? Do you remember as a little boy even just going to the theaters and maybe watching them?
Yeah, I mean, like most kids my generation, I grew up with them. You couldn't really, even if you wanted to, get away from them completely because there were several Western series on TV.
Right.
A lot of times the old Westerns were shown on TV a lot at night, on the weekends, and I also grew up riding horses when I was a little kid. About the
Mhm.
same time I was going to the movies, I was learning to ride. And so I liked that whole, I like the landscapes. I like the physical aspect of those stories, and yeah, they were fun. And like you say, you could still go to a movie house and see a new or relatively new Western. It wasn't like it hadn't become a retro genre yet, like it
Yeah.
sort of is considered these days, a specialty, one-off kind of situation. So yeah, I grew up with them and I liked them, and well, I like lots of other genres as well. As an adult and as someone who works in the movie business, when I started rewatching all the Westerns I could remember in preparation to make this one, and watched a lot of other ones, I was very conscious of the fact that, and I guess this is true of all movie genres, but how many bad ones there are. I mean, most
Yeah.
Westerns in most genres, as far as movies go, most of them are not very original, very well told, very well acted, very well
Yeah. Cookie
shot.
cutter. Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of repetitive and not very profound in many cases, but they were really useful. It's different if you're just watching and looking for a good movie, or if you're trying to prepare to shoot a Western. You start looking at, I would share movies or scenes from movies with members of our team, Carol Spear, Jason Clark, Ann Dixon, all Canadian, in terms of production design, costume design, cinematographer, Marcel Ziskin, who shot Falling as well. And
Yeah.
some of the actors. I would show them scenes. I say, well, this is really not a very good movie, but look at the way the guy approaches the horse, or look at the lamps in the saloon. And, we shared lots of images that way, also photographs from the period. So the whole research period was wonderful. I really liked that. Learned
Yeah.
a lot. Make it as historically accurate as we could. And then, and making a classic Western, kind of in a traditional classic Western, the way it looks and sounds, but breaking new ground in terms of having a woman be the central character,
Yes.
and an ordinary woman at that, not an extraordinary woman like you've seen some Westerns over the years as lead characters. In this case, it's an ordinary woman, and we stay with her the whole time, even when
Yeah.
her male partner goes off to war, which is unusual.
Yeah, well, that was my next great segue there, Viggo. You read my mind because I want to talk about Vicki. She is, I just say, glorious in this film. She's extraordinary. And I loved watching Vivian, her character, and where she goes. And she's kind of the hero of this story. You don't get to see that a lot in Westerns. Like
No,
you say, like women are kind of like, yeah, but run the saloon, get me my beer, not her. She is a strong woman in many regards. What did you, I mean, her face, she doesn't even have to open her mouth. Like her face says it all.
right.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me a little bit
Well,
about the casting of her. Like, did you always have her in your mind when you were getting this ready?
no, I didn't write thinking of any actors for any of the roles, but once I had the script ready to share, the first character I had to find was Vivian, to find the financing for the movie. She's the lead, and then Olsen, but I had to find Vivian, and I wanted someone who could do what you just talked about, could act in silence, where you'd be drawn to her no matter what she was doing, even if she was sitting completely still, and there are other people in the room talking. You want to know what's happening to her. What's she thinking about this? What's going on emotionally with her? And Vicki is one of those rare actors that has that, not only is technically gifted, but has that incredible screen presence where you're just drawn to her no matter what. It's a gift, really. I mean, the first time I saw her in The Phantom Thread, Paul Thomas Anderson's movie from, I think it's 2017, I was reminded of the first couple times I saw Meryl Streep, that power, that ability to communicate so much with or without words. And also someone who could easily be credible in a period piece, just her outward appearance, what she transmits. So I thought of her right away, and I had to make a list, as you do, when you cast them, just in case, because you
Of
never
course.
know if they're available, or maybe they just don't like the story, or don't like the role for some reason, or think they've already played something too similar. But fortunately, she said yes right away. Said she liked the idea of Western, loved this character, and identified with her as she was reading it. And so then I knew that we had a chance to make a good original Western with a strong woman at the center of it.
Yeah, yeah, she's wonderful. It's funny, as you have heard, I'm sure already, but those eagle eye Lord of the Rings fans, within the first 5 minutes of your movie, my friend, they see a specific sword. Did you have to get Peter Jackson's approval for that, or the studio? And what a great little Easter egg for us fans, I got to tell you.
Well, it wasn't, I didn't, like many things that happen, sometimes it's just an accident, more or less. And we had this character, this knight that you see. We had found a great horse, very spirited, beautiful horse. And right kind of saddle and saddle blanket and his armor, his helmet, the pennant that he has, the lance with the pennant on it. We had everything. And I said, well, we need a sword. And they said, well, like what? I said, well, like a medieval sword. And we looked at, there were some sort of interesting examples, but they weren't quite, I don't know. I just said, well, something more like this. And I showed them an image, I guess. And then the question was, well, if it's something like this, why not this? Would that work? And I thought, probably not, because, we have a limited budget. I can't pay for I don't know what it entails. They might just say no. So I did. I contacted Peter Jackson and I said, could we use that sword in our movie? He goes, well, is it a movie about a sword? I said, no. You might see it for a few seconds.
Yeah.
And probably most people won't, but there'll always be someone in the audience who's a fan of Lord of the Rings who will be glad that they saw the movie. Might tell their other friends who are fans of the trilogy, you got to see it on the big screen. You see, it's the sword from Anduril from Lord of the Rings. And but it's just a few seconds. He goes, okay, it's okay by me. Ask the movie company. I asked them. They asked the same thing. Is it a movie about a sword? I said nope. And explained what it was, the use of it, how brief it would be, and they said, okay, that's all right. And so we don't have to pay anything. He said, no. I said, okay. So that's how it happened.
Yeah, it's great. Like I said, it's a nice little treat for people, I think, for your fans, for sure. Over the years, obviously, look, you've worked with so many fantastic directors, including the one and only David Cronenberg, as we know. You guys are joined at the hip. So I want to know the director that's influenced you the most in your directing style.
Well, there have been many. He's top of the list. Obviously, I've worked with him 4 times, and we're also friends, and we stay in touch, and we communicate about a lot of things, not just movies. But as far as how to make a movie, how to direct a movie efficiently, he's not the only one. I've been fortunate, over the years, worked for many good directors, men and women from different parts of the world, from Argentina, Jane Campion, from New Zealand, Matt Ross, Captain Fantastic, Ron Howard recently in 13 Lives.
Yep.
So many interesting, David Olhoffen, Far From Men, another movie they've shown at Toronto, really beautiful story. And I guess having to wait, or it was the way it turned out, until I was 60 before I made my first movie, I had the benefit of seeing all these different people, different kinds of artists, do a couple of things really well. One was prepare the shoot when you can't prepare enough, and communicate your preparation with your team so that you're all on the same page, and everybody understands what's going to be attempted. And then just staying open to suggestions from everybody, from day one, making it clear, like, your questions, your suggestions are welcome. They're never a threat. They're never in any way offensive. They're a gift. So I want you to feel free. Please don't tell me tomorrow about your great idea for the scene we're shooting today, because it'll be too late.
Right.
Just bring it, and then that creates a bond more quickly in a crew, I think. And also, it's not just another job. You're not just there for your technical abilities. You're there as part of this family that's telling this story. We have one shot to do it. Let's all put our heads together and see what the best, even if I am the one that has written the story and I have a clear idea of what I want to do, I'm open to altering things as we go along if someone has a better way, a better idea for a moment that we're going to shoot. And yeah, that's what I've learned from them and from David Cronenberg, in spades. His sets are always calm. There's a good sense of humor, there's a good atmosphere, even when they're sort of grim images that are being presented or difficult, intense sort of scenes that are being acted out.
Yeah.
Always a good atmosphere on the set, and he's extremely efficient. He always finishes on time or before time, on budget or under budget. And I have to say, we did the same, with The Dead Don't Hurt. We finished a day early and slightly under budget. So
Wow.
I was very happy. We had a really great team.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's just wonderful all the way around. And my last question, so are the wheels turning for your next film, or are you taking a little break now?
I need a little break because it's been many, many months. It's been harder and longer promoting the movie. Thankfully, because it means people are interested in it, but than it was to shoot it. But yeah, I have a few other screenplays I've written. There's one story that I'm considering that I may possibly find the money for faster than I did for the first two. It's a small story, but I'm not sure yet whether we have enough money to shoot it. We'll see. I'm
Okay,
thinking
well,
about
hopefully we'll see you back at TIFF. I mean, I know you have to make
I
that
hope
commitment
so.
to me. Yeah, so there you go. Viggo, it's
Deal.
always my honor and pleasure to talk to you. I really, and I appreciate you making the video work for me. So thank you so much as always.
Of
And
course.
hopefully we'll see you back here in Toronto soon.
I look forward to it.
Okay, Viggo, take care. Best of luck with everything. Bye-bye.
Yep. Thank you. See you.
Okay, bye-bye.